Alright, let's skip the boring prologue and get straight to the test drive. This time, the new Prius Z-Grade Hybrid FF model. Now, let's get in. It closes with a satisfying thunk, just like European cars from a decade ago. How times have changed. Now, let's start the engine. Ignite. Similar to the BZ4X. The excitement in the startup animation doesn't quite match the design. Alright, let's start driving. The initial impression of the movement is smooth and gradual. No more jerkiness. Once you start moving, it's smooth sailing. It feels like sticking to the road, slightly hovering. The flat ride is definitely comfortable. I'll talk more about the driving experience later. Now, let's pick out a few points about utility. The energy flow diagram that shows running on electricity is tacky. It's not a local science museum exhibit. It should be made cooler and more futuristic, like EV indicators. The drink holders positioned ahead of the gear shift and aligned side by side are convenient. Achieving this layout for a car of this size requires a functional and narrow center console. This design choice accounts for the clearance between the door and the driver in the event of a side collision. The vertically oriented smartphone charging slot I introduced earlier is a clever solution for accommodating functionality even in a slim console. Impressive. This cup holder here is an optional accessory, but it's well designed and doesn't look like an afterthought. Even though some ambient lighting is hidden, it's a highly recommended option in terms of design. We're grateful to NET's Toyota Nagareyama Utakanamori branch for their cooperation in this shoot. Thank you. Next, let's talk about visibility. The windows are close, so there's a sense of openness in the front, but the slant of the A-pillar reduces visibility diagonally. You'll have to move your head around to make sure. Additionally, adding the digital inner mirror as an option might make it easier to see the rear. With the large center display, the rear view camera image is clear and helpful. Distortion correction and obstacle sensors are on point. Toyota is the leader when it comes to this software. With the inclusion of the advanced park feature sought after by many around the world, this alone adds significant value. And pressing the view button lets you drive while checking the surroundings. It's quite exciting. The steering is precise up front, making corner entry moments very responsive, while the active lane tracing function recognizes lanes and adjusts steering accordingly. The steering assist control during curves seems to be improved in the E4 model. Rather than actively assisting steering, it seems to make the steering easier to initiate. It sets the stage, in a way. It might be a subtle control, but focus on your palm and you'll eventually realize it's working. You might go, "Ah, I see," or, "Huh?" The throttle, now an organ pedal, has a great feel. Adjustable like Mazda's, offering adaptable pedal feedback. In Japan, there's a not-so-honorable slang term, Prius missile, but with the organ pedal, the sensation under your foot is quite different, and should help prevent accidental acceleration. The initial acceleration is powerful. However, it's powerful in the context of being a powerful Prius. Were those reviewers who said, "It's insanely fast, too fast"? Exaggerating a bit? Okay, tell the truth so I won't get mad. Still, it's a sufficiently impactful acceleration, and the response in sport mode is good. The engine sound is a precise and low noise sound, though not ecstatic. It's very Japanese in its essence. The brake touch is a bit sporty with a strong initial bite. This might be a matter of preference. I personally found it a bit off-putting. Now, onto the ride feel. Everyone keeps saying, stiff body, stiff body. Where's it stiff? Well, everything has become stiff, but the most significant point is the front lateral bending rigidity. The adopted chassis enhances lateral bending rigidity, enabling a low center of gravity and the use of large diameter tires, thanks to the second generation TNGA platform. Considering rear load, the ride comfort should be significantly better in the E4 model. However, due to the high lateral torsional rigidity, Even the FF model has remarkable control. Moreover, the rear suspension bushings have been altered to provide higher attitude response to tire stress, resulting in improved suspension settings. With this high lateral rigidity, inputs from below on uneven surfaces might feel a bit stronger. Let's just chalk this up to its sportiness. Well then, let's talk about the CD value, which quantifies a car's aerodynamic resistance. Believe it or not, this CD value isn't as much about how low the height is or how flat the A-pillar is, but rather about how smoothly the wind flows off the body. If you were to imagine jumping the hood with a bicycle, which one do you think could jump higher? The previous model with the top positioned ahead of the roof seems more capable, right? In other words, it means the air resistance detaches from the body more easily. This indicates that the previous Prius is better at directing airflow. So, why did they tilt the A-pillar despite it negatively affecting the CD value? Furthermore, at high speeds, when you turn the steering to its limit, the tires feel strained, as if they're enduring excessive stress. Of course, the E4 model could handle this tire width with ease, but for an FF model, it might be better to go slightly smaller in diameter and wider in width. So why go with 19-inch wheels as the standard? Well, the answer is simple, because it's cool. Putting on smaller diameter tires for a hatchback coupe? Who'd do that? No one, right? That's right, the new Prius prioritizes looking cool. They probably wanted slightly wider tires for the aesthetics, but going with 19-inch wheels likely impacted fuel efficiency. So, they reluctantly settled for narrower tires. I believe that the tires they truly wanted are a bit wider, and the development team likely thinks the same. Now, let's prepare the jack and torque wrench. Alright, now let's discuss the quietness. Opening and closing the windows is quite impressive. It's either soundproof glass or something, as it's incredibly quiet when closed, and surprisingly audible when open. The engine noise isn't very noticeable either, making the quietness quite impressive. I don't have concrete data, but due to the 19-inch tire diameter, road noise might be slightly more pronounced. However, not much noise enters from below, probably because of something like this. Let's also confirm the safety features for the sake of family safety. Features like radar cruise control and lane tracing assist, part of what's known as Toyota Safety Sense, are of course standard. There are even advanced driving support features that anticipate actions like pedestrians suddenly appearing. It's impeccable as a family car. An innovative feature introduced this time is a counter-aggressive driving function. If a vehicle behind gets too close and starts to bully, it'll let you know with "there's a vehicle behind" and encourage you to report it while recording the situation. A fun feature, I thought for a moment. However, isn't the Prius generally more of a car that's being overtaken than one that's overtaking others? Oops. Even if you're notified that you're being bullied, won't it just make the driver more nervous? It would have been better if they developed a feature that makes it hard for the car to bully in the first place. Come on, Toyota, pretty please. Airbags are present in 7 locations: driver's seat, passenger's seat, driver's knee area, sides, and curtains. Great. As of August 2023, the crash test results from the New Car Assessment Program, or NCAP, haven't been released yet. Given that the previous Prius also received a 5-star rating, it's likely that this model will as well. Still, the detailed aspects, like head protection in frontal collisions, are worth noting. Now, the test drive is finished. Thank you. Finally, to summarize, this new Prius: 1. Ultimate form. Our Prius has finally reached its ultimate form. Ecology, sportiness, and safety have all matured. On the flip side, it's challenging to envision further character changes for the Prius. I boldly predict that this model is the series' ultimate iteration. 2. Many subtle changes. From the body to the suspension and even the feel of the throttle, as well as the adoption of map lamps instead of paper maps and the anti-aggressive driving feature, there are many hidden experiments in this car. Exploring these subtle challenges while driving is enjoyable. 3. Not targeting families with babies. The sporty silhouette is cool, but it might be challenging to market to families with babies. It's a bold move to suggest this car to your wife when you're blessed with a long-awaited baby. You'd have to be quite daring or unaware of the consequences to do that. Oh, I'm one of those people though. Is something wrong? Ecological and cool. It's a stylish family car with a speed-focused edge, albeit ignoring the feelings of mothers. Alright, I'll wrap it up here. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.